What?
Try it again.
Is it better? Yes. Okay. No, you can't hear me? Testing. Can you hear it? Yes? All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock. So I'm going to ask Laura Lee to please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Here.
Amy Doran,
Here.
Pam Howard, Dawn Kirk,
Here.
Barbara Cruz,
Here.
Alexander Lessem,
Here.
Nancy Rumpfeld.
Here. Thank you, Laura Lee. Stu, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I will. And for those of you who haven't noticed, the flag is up there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Stu. And Dawn, would you please read the mission statement for us?
The Thompson School. Is that better?
How about that?
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Okay, good. The Thompson School District will be a school district that empowers, challenges, and inspires students, faculty, staff, parents, school leaders, and community members to learn, achieve, and excel.
Thank you, Dawn. It's time for adoption of the agenda for today, October 19th. Are there any changes or corrections to the agenda for tonight's meeting? Hearing none, I will take a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
So moved.
Second.
So that was Dawn and Stu. So
Yeah.
Dawn and Stu made the motion to adopt the agenda for today. So Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Amy Doran,
Aye.
Pam Howard, Dawn Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz,
Aye.
Alexander Lessem, Nancy Rumpfeld.
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes for October 6, 2022. Does anyone have any changes or corrections to the minutes as they were printed? Hearing none, I will take a motion to approve the minutes for October 6th.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is that you, Dawn?
It was, yes.
We have a first from Dawn and a second from Stu. So Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Amy Doran,
Aye.
Pam Howard, Dawn Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz,
Aye.
Alexander Lessem, Nancy Rumpfeld.
Aye.
Thank you. We move into public participation, and we'll begin with Dr. Schaefer's report.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Board of Education. I am pleased to provide my report to the board. This evening, prior to the meeting, we had an opportunity to meet with members of the Town of Berthoud Town Council, as well as City Manager and the Mayor. We had a joint, we had dinner together in a joint meeting, and it was great, just really spending some time together, asking and answering questions. We really enjoy a really strong collaboration, partnership relationship with the town, and we are always we always love and look forward to this joint meeting that we have not only in October but again in April. And I also want to extend a special thank you to the staff of Berthoud High School. They always help make us feel very welcome here and help with the logistics so we can hold our meeting here at the high school. But again, we do enjoy our partnership with the town, with our schools. It's just a great place to be, and we really appreciate it. I'm going to merge my superintendent's report with student recognitions. We have a number of pretty cool recognitions, and so we have some students with us this evening. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the National Merit Scholarship Program. And we should have 3 students with us. I think we have brothers Jesse Hatton and Daniel Hatton, so if you can maybe come forward. And then we have... Both Jesse and Daniel are from Berthoud High School. We also have a student from Mountain View High School, Lillian Krister. Lillian, if you'll come forward as well. And Lillian, did I pronounce your last name correctly? Okay, So now we'll know why we're clapping for them. Let me go ahead and read what I have. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an academic competition for recognition and scholarships that began in 1955. Approximately 1.5 million high school students enter the program each year. High school students who meet published program entry and participation requirements enter the National Merit Scholarship Program by taking the preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, known as the PSAT or NMSQT, at the specified time in the high school program, usually as juniors. I am really pleased to announce that Berthoud High School and Mountain View High School had students who performed extremely well on the NMSQT taken last fall. And tonight we have students from these two high schools who earned what's called commended status. So we'd like to recognize Jesse Hatton and Lillian Christer for performing in the top 8% of the nation, earning a commended student recognition. Commended students are named based on a nationally applied selection index score that may vary from year to year. So if we can give Jesse and Lillian a round of applause. So in addition, I'm also very excited to announce that Berthoud High School student Daniel Hatton performed in the top 4% of the nation, earning him a semifinalist recognition in the 2023 National Merit Scholarship Program. Semifinalists are the highest scoring entrants in each state. Qualifying scores vary from state to state and from year to year, but the student scores of all semifinalists are extremely high. To be considered for a National Merit Scholarship, semifinalists must advance to finalist standing in the competition by meeting high academic standards and all other requirements explained in the information provided to each semifinalist. So Daniel, we're really proud of you. That's a huge accomplishment. Congratulations. Thank you, students, for joining us. And again, we're really proud of you. That's awesome. Avery Gibbs, who's a student at Thompson Valley High School, and unfortunately Avery was not able to join us this evening, but I'm going to still read something pretty cool. Avery is a member of the Thompson Valley High School volleyball team. Avery is a sophomore volleyball athlete from Thompson Valley High School and was a starter on the state championship team last school year. Avery was selected as the 9 News Student Athlete of the Week. Avery was paid a surprise visit by 9 News sports reporter Scotty Gange and was awarded the swag chain. Avery and her teammates are currently undefeated on the season and have not lost a set in any game this year. They are currently ranked number 1 in the state. We want to congratulate Avery and good luck for the rest of the season. So thank you, Avery. I know you're not here, but hopefully you're watching. So we also have a team with us this evening, so I'm going to invite the Berthoud High School cross-country team to come forward, and I'm going to let you know why we're recognizing them. So this is, again, really cool stuff. These are the things that we love to recognize. On September 30th, the Berthoud High School cross country sent 15 students to the Desert Twilight Cross Country Meet in Mesa, Arizona. And it's one of the largest cross country meets in the country. The meet hosts over 6,000 athletes from 10 different states. The boys and girls team competed in the small school division that's under 1,800 students. The boys won the meet by 46 points, led by Tate, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Bothan, who was first, and Scott Clark, who was second. The girls team finished 8th, led by J.C. Williams, first by over a minute. On Thursday, so again, congratulations for winning first in the division. That's awesome. On Thursday, October 6th, the Berthoud High School cross-country team competed in the Patriot League Championship at Wellington High School. The girls placed 5th, and the boys won the conference championships. And now the team will be competing tomorrow at regionals in Greeley for a berth to the state championship. We have our coach, Coach Jennings, with them this evening. We want to just really congratulate you all. That is pretty awesome, and so we're proud of you. Coach, I don't know if you want to say a word or two. We can just give you a spotlight because this is a big deal.
Well, first of all, we want to thank the school board, thank Dr. Schaefer for acknowledging this team. Also thanking Kevin Clark, our athletic director here for the district, Michael DeWall, our athletic director, just for supporting these kids and providing them and encouraging that opportunity to go down to Arizona and have success. A lot of these kids run year-round, really devoting themselves. And so being able to, as a school district and as a school, to be able to offer that opportunity has been awesome. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, and congratulations again.
And good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck. Next on the agenda, we have the Top of Thompson Awards. And so this evening, we have one of our award winners here with the nominator, so we're going to start with that. As a reminder, the Top of Thompson Awards are peer-nominated awards for each of our employee groups. So we have classified, licensed, and APT, and these are peer-nominated awards. Any eligible, any employee in the Thompson School District is eligible to be recognized. And what's really neat about this particular award is that it's recognized peer-to-peer, so it's from employee to employee. This evening, we have nominee Brandy Stott, who is the principal at Lincoln Elementary, and Brandy's nominator is Jira Robertson. So if Brandy and Jira could step up to the podium, that would be awesome. And Jira, I'm going to let you do the honors and read.
Okay, excellent. Woo. Oh, man. Superintendent Schaefer and Madam President and the board. I'm going to start by singing our school song, which Miss Stott said, we need a school song, so can you write the school song as our music teacher? And so on behalf of Lincoln Leopards, here it is. Oh, we are Lincoln Leopards, hear our mighty roar. We stand proud and strong, we aim to soar. We show our spots to all we see. We're Lincoln Leopard proud, mighty as can be. Lincoln, Lincoln Leopard still the end. There we go. So, that's a great example because when Miss Stott came to Lincoln, she said, we need to build culture and we need to build spirit. And so every one of our children can sing that song, and they sing it super much louder than I do. So I am very excited to nominate her for this, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I feel like she's so deserving of it. Ms. Stott has worked diligently to build community and seek out higher levels of professionalism for our staff and our students. She sets a high standard and lets the staff and students know that she believes in them. And it's truly, truly something that she shows in every way and form that she works with our children. She is keen on helping our young people learn how to interact with each other, how to advocate for themselves, how to use positive words and encouragement to others, how to be honorable and hardworking citizens, and so much more. She works on helping students feel included, all while instilling in them a desire to be their very own individual self. Some of the best things that she has consistently administered include positive office referrals for our children, positive staff spotlights for our staff, classroom visiting, positive feedback up and down the hall, helping find joy in the small things, and so very much more. I am very excited to be in our building, and I know that each and every day when I walk in, I have something special to look forward to. I know that Ms. Stott wants us all to be our very best Lincoln Leopards, and that's why she is nominated for Top of Thompson.
Brandy, congratulations.
So thank you. So this is your nomination form, and then This is your Top of Thompson Award.
Congratulations, Brandy. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to recognize our other two employees. I will note that tonight is parent-teacher conferences, and so that's why it was difficult for some of our staff to be here. So first, I'd like to recognize Erin Estevez, who is a middle school language arts teacher at High Plains School, and Erin was nominated by Lindy Jones, and here's what Lindy had to say. Erin's classroom instructional delivery is a work of art. He posts, reminds, and demonstrates to his students clear and intentional learning targets, criteria for success, and behavior expectations. He is constantly linking the work, actions, and behaviors of the students to real-world applications. Just last week, his students were engaged in a speaking and listening activity around the NASA Artemis launch. Students were fully engaged in cooperative learning structures as they watched videos, answered questions, completed note catchers, and then performed speaking assignments with peer editing, viewing, and learning. Even with the launch being scrubbed, he had a backup plan so that the lesson would continue. Watching him in the class and his students learn is truly inspiring. Erin, we congratulate you. And our classified staff member is Misty Wilhite. Misty serves as the secretary of Centennial Elementary, and Misty was nominated by Principal Carmen Polka. And Carmen had this to say about Misty. Misty is an extraordinary contributor to our overall positive climate and culture at Centennial. She has a friendly voice over the speaker when she greets visitors. She has a warm smile when she says hello to students, families, and guests when they enter our building. She is always willing to step away to comfort a child, walk them to their classroom, deliver a message to a teacher, or give a new family a welcoming tour of the building. She honors that connections come first with our community while keeping our building safe and secure by following procedures. When students need assistance throughout the day, she is ready to jump in. When teachers have questions, she is ready with an answer. Misty helps to keep Centennial running smoothly, and in the words of some community, is a great vice principal. We giggle and know she is the glue that keeps us running smoothly. Thank you, Misty. You are an extraordinary part of our Centennial community. So, Misty, we extend our congratulations to you. So the last part of the superintendent report is actually our school presentation, and as a reminder, the board knows that at each of our school board meetings, we showcase and recognize one of our amazing schools here in the Thompson School District. And today we are joined by our friends from Turner Middle School, and I see we have some students here, but I'm going to introduce the principal, Brandy Greaves, who's going to come forward, and then she has some guests with her. So Brandy. And board members, this presentation was shared with you via email, so you can probably pull it up on your computers if you so desire.
Good evening. I'm Brandy Greaves. I'm the principal at Turner Middle School. We appreciate this opportunity. I have some amazing students with me tonight. They're just going to take a few minutes to talk about the student experience at Turner. So I'm going to first let them introduce themselves, and then they each will share out a piece about Turner.
Okay, I'll start. Hi, I'm Ray. I am an 8th grader at Turner Middle School. I participate in web, which we'll tell you about a little bit more later. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Cloud, and I'm an 8th grade student at Turner Middle School. I do web and DLT.
Hi, I'm Levi, and I'm a new 6th grader at Turner Middle School, and it's my first year.
Hi, I'm Addie Corbett. I'm also an 8th grader at CMS. I was the captain of the girls varsity volleyball team this year, and I participate in DLT, Sources of Strength, and web.
Hi, I'm Anna Tao. I'm an 8th grader at Turner Middle School. I'm in DLT, web, and photography.
Great. And then students, super awkward, but we're going to have you walk up to the podium when you speak. Well, I won't make you repeat it, just because it's a big room, and yeah, so just make sure when you talk, you can come up.
Okay, so we first want to start out by telling you a little bit about what we're doing at Turner. So pretty much since we're the Dragons, then our homeroom classes are divided into castles. Each castle has a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade tower. And every day we start our tower in our towers, and a couple of days a week, then we do character strong lessons with our towers. This gives us time to connect with each other and with our one teacher that gets to know us well. Every once in a while, then we'll also have castle competitions where we compete for points. Our first castle competition was musical chairs, where each castle had 6 representatives, and the Dragon Leadership team organized the event.
The Dragon Leadership Team also organizes roundtables, also known as assemblies, where we recognize students of the month, celebrate our sports teams, and have castle competitions and other fun activities. Besides these fun activities, this year we are also going to promote recycling at our first assembly this November. Web is a group of eighth graders who welcome the 6th graders on the first day of school. We play games, show them around the school, and get to know them all on day 1. Then the web leaders work with 6th graders throughout the year on themes to help them succeed in middle school, like organization and time management.
Castle competitions are a great way for us students to connect with each other, so there isn't that one student in the back of the room who doesn't have anything to do and doesn't have any friends. The web dance was a great overall. I loved that we had time to connect and think about who we felt connected to. I also loved the fact that there were just 6th graders at the first dance, so we could develop the ability to feel safe or secure with people we don't know. Otherwise, it would be overwhelming to some students.
Sources of Strength is another student group that teaches and reminds us that we have many sources of strength to help us through our lives. The SOS peer leaders are preparing a campaign to teach kids about the sources, and they're another support system for us. In the past, we have done campaigns like the Sticky Note campaign, where we put sticky notes on students' lockers throughout the school with a reassuring or supportive note to help build a more connected school and to build each other up.
Character Strong is the name of our curriculum that is being taught in our pro classes. The P in pro stands for perseverance, the R stands for respect, and the O stands for ownership. We have an innovation lab that has 6 stations. We have parent volunteers who set up and clean up so we can use the full time we're there for learning. We had a doctor, pilot, and physicist volunteer their time. We are planning to expand this opportunity to many more kids this year. This was purchased by the TSD Berthoud Bash and will help us resupply the consumable items. We had over 60 students sign up for the digital photography workshop. The students selected meet a professional photographer who teaches us about taking photos and creating amazing posters that are displayed at the Berthoud Library and in our school. This is sponsored by Thompson's GT department.
The other program that we want to highlight is Bloom Sites. This is a program that hones into social emotional needs of students. The students are able to take a monthly check-in online, and that gives all of the teachers, administrators, and counselors information so that we can better make decisions about what kind of supports to offer, whether that be in a classroom, to students, or to the entire school. This has been a great program. We're just getting started with it, but so far we've really enjoyed having it.
Come to a game, assembly, or activity sometime to meet our mascot, Cobalt. And thank you for having us.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Do any of you have? Do any of the board members have any questions they want to ask the kids? Hold on.
I'm sorry, they may
have
questions.
Oh, we always have questions.
Sorry. I told them they may have to answer some questions.
Yeah. Okay, so Alex.
So I think I figured out that DLT stands for Dragon Leadership Team.
Yes.
What does the WEB stand for?
Don't look at me, you guys.
Okay, so pretty much the WEB is our program for welcoming the 6th graders. It's where everyone belongs, so it's pretty much kind of trying to like break up that little like divide that's normally between 6th grade and 8th grade. So that pretty much a group of 6th graders can have their like WEB leader is what we call it. So their 8th grader that they can try and connect to so that they have somebody throughout the year to help them.
Cool. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions for the kids? All right, thank you very much.
Thank
It was
you.
fun to have you. You too. Lots of information. All right, It's time for our board and committee reports, and this time I asked you to select a topic from a list of events or celebrations that you attended over or since the start of the school year. So I'm going to start down with Nancy, and Nancy's going to talk about one of our new committees.
Is my microphone? Yeah, it is working. Okay. So I went to the new Communication Committee Advisory meeting last week, and is Michael Hausman here tonight? Oh, he's not. Too bad. He did a really great job. He put forth a lot of information in like an hour and a half over what his department's responsible for, what it does. We had a really good turnout. It was about 50-50 of parents, community, and TSD staff, so I thought that was really good. And I didn't know that there were so many web designers, SEO people that are ready to like get to work and help us. One thing that I really learned, and maybe people already knew about, there's a Thompson School District app that you can put on your phone, and I downloaded it, and I've just been playing with it. But you can get notifications. You can say you just want district-only level. You can say, I want for this school and this school, and that's it. You can look up sports, lunch menus. You can access the parent portal. And it's just, you just go to the, well, on Android, it's the Play Store, and you just put in Thompson School District. It's really super easy to use. I thought it was great. It's a well-hidden secret, I think. He explained that relationships are with schools and teachers and not with the district, which I think a lot of times we hear people talking about the district like it's this all-knowing, seeing thing. But people really have their relationships with their schools and their teachers. He also talked about how we implemented Blackboard, which allows the school district to make literally thousands of calls and or send out emails at a moment's notice. He did bring up, and I would like to reiterate, parents, please make sure that your phone and email is up to date, because otherwise the system can't contact you. If you moved or changed your email, the system, it can't do anything. Also make sure your kids don't have your password to your parent portal, because they'll go in and apparently change to theirs. He's also working on converting all of the PDF documents to HTML pages. So for people who don't know, the website, you can go and you can translate it into hundreds of different languages, except PDF documents don't translate. And so his department is working on taking all of those documents and making them so that when you click on it, it's a link. It's just another web page, and then the translation will work, which I thought that was really great, because then that means everyone will be able to read what's on the website. The next meeting is December 6th from 6 to 7:30. Anyone and everyone is welcome, and we're going to be talking about social media and how the district uses it. It was a really great meeting, and kudos to Michael and his team.
Stu.
All right. I decided to talk to you about a presentation that Dr. Schaefer and I did together on October 3rd at the Berthoud Library. There were about 12 senior citizens from the Berthoud area who were in attendance. We began by showing slides that dealt with topics like district demographics, facilities, the staff, programs that support student achievement, programs that support student well-being, and that was followed by a question and answer period. And we really filled the allotted amount of time, and some people even stayed afterward to ask some additional questions. Tomorrow, Todd Piccone and I are going to do a reprise of the presentation to a different group of Berthoud seniors, and we're going to be meeting at the Fire Protection District building tomorrow morning. The reason I decided to talk to you and tell you a little bit about this particular event is that the senior citizen audience is a very important audience. In our district, and Dr. Schaefer, you can correct me, but I think I'm pretty close to being right. I believe about 75% of our voters do not have children in school. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And yet, people who don't currently have kids in school certainly care about what's going on in the school. And by targeting a senior citizen audience, which we did on October 3rd, which we're going to do again tomorrow, and which will also take place a couple of times in Loveland coming up, we're giving people who don't have children in school currently the opportunity to ask questions, to make comments, etc. These people are residents of the community, they're taxpayers. Some of them had children who went through the Thompson schools, not everybody did. But they have questions that need to be answered. And so I'm really pleased that the school district is offering a series of forums so that people who perhaps don't receive the ready and current information that parents do will still have the opportunity to ask questions and to be heard.
Thank you, Stu. Don.
So I chose to speak about CASB. And CASB is the Colorado Association of School Boards, and we are members of it. We participate in several of their events. They invite us to things regularly throughout the year. The Colorado Association of School Boards has been around for about just over 80 years, and they're really focused on helping school boards have other school boards to talk to, because the things that we do are very unique. And so it's nice for us to have an opportunity to understand specifically what we need to understand as school boards. They help us with education, making sure that we know what we need to do. They stay updated on policy, and they do represent over 1,000 school board members and superintendents statewide inside that K-12 arena. They have services, information, and training programs for us to help the local school districts do their job. And as members, we have conferences that we go to, there's awards that they give, and there's opportunities for us to be involved. So one of the reasons I spoke to this is because I've taken on an extra responsibility with CASB, which is to be part of the federal, easy for me to say, I've got to look it up now, the Federal Relations Network. So I'm working with our elected officials who are in Washington to let them know what specifically is happening inside of our district, and as well as advocating for schools across Colorado. And Stu is also part of the CASB Delegate Assembly, which meets throughout the legislative session to stay updated on policies. Anything that touches education, we're getting updates on. We're hearing from speakers. And we have an opportunity to provide feedback to CASB for their efforts to advocate for students year-round. And just recently, Pam Howard, who's not here tonight, won the McGuffey Award, which is one of CASB's highest honors. And so that was a really great thing that happened, and it was in the middle of a back to school where there was so much going on that it was just something that was noted once, and I wanted to bring that back up because I think it was really great that this statewide agency has highlighted the great work that Pam has done for us and our community.
Thank you, Don. Alexandra.
So Barb, I couldn't believe when she put on the list of topics that one of them was the marching band, because I could talk about the marching band for hours. But I will try to keep it brief. And when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about what is really important or what's special about it. And so every time this time of year, I get the wonderful opportunity to spend a lot of time with the Loveland High School Crimson Regiment Marching Band. And we've had several competitions already. We had a big trip to Flagstaff, Arizona, which was quite an undertaking. And I'll talk just a little bit more about that. And then we just recently, on Monday night, we were down at regionals in Lafayette and placed second in the Northern Division, and we'll be going to state on October 29th. What was really fun about being at regionals was that we got to see the Berthoud marching band performance, which was fabulous. It was so much fun. It's like a Dracula vampire performance. And they also placed second in the 2A division and will be performing, hopefully at state. I hope they're going. It's on Halloween on October 31st in Grand Junction, so their performance will be perfect for that But what I think about marching band, that a lot of the things that make it so special is a lot of the ways that the kids are so involved and so much work. And they're at the Loveland Band, there are about 180 students involved in the marching band. 32 students are on the leadership team, so section leaders or logistics people or drum majors, or what have you, and they really help to run the band. So those 32 students are learning incredible leadership skills. All of the students, they practice hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, starting in like April or May of each year, practice through the summer, and then have this incredibly fast and furious and intense season from mid-September through the end of October. And thinking about the skills that they learn are many. Both music skills, obviously, physical fitness skills, but strength, stamina, perseverance, conflict resolution, cooperation, and the list goes on and on and on. And it's amazing to see them sort of come together and flourish and struggle. I mean, it's hard, it's really hard, but they do it. And then the other thing that I think about is we talk a lot about parent engagement and parent involvement, and this would not happen without huge amounts of parent involvement. The trip to Flagstaff, we took four trucks pulling 4 trailers with the chuck wagon, the props, the equipment. We drove a combined 8,750 miles. We spent 39 hours of driving there and back. There were 12 volunteers, 1 child and 1 puppy who made the trip. And then we worked from dawn to dusk the whole time we were there, feeding the kids, putting the props together, moving stuff around. It was tremendous. And we were competing against some pretty big schools in Flagstaff. And so it was neat to be a part of that. We ended up placing 4th in that competition, and Fossil Ridge from Fort Collins placed 2nd. So it was really cool to have 2 Colorado schools placing in the top ranks of that competition. And then also, as far as the parental involvement, every competition requires probably close to 100 parent volunteers to feed the kids. We serve many meals, about 25 meals throughout band camp and competitions. It takes about 30 volunteers per meal to prepare everything, and we serve about 200 plus people at every meal. And then parents also are involved in uniforms, in the pit and the prop crew, in fundraising, and in so many different things. And so it's really a tremendous community for families and for kids, and a wonderful thing for our district and a wonderful thing to be part of. So that's what I have to say. Yeah.
Amy.
I'm going to speak about the Kids Pack celebration that was on October 7th at the Forge. The celebration was their 1 millionth meal that they packed. Kids Pack began in 2009 for helping out food insecure families, kids. They started with 34 students at 3 different schools, and the most recent statistic was now they're serving 40 schools and about 600 meals a week. So it's pretty impressive, the work that Tom Kerrigan has done. And the thing that impresses me the most about Kids Pack is just the partnerships. It is just a multitude of partnerships, from grocery stores, food banks, volunteers, county, city. Subaru of Loveland is a big supporter. And most recently is a partnership with beef sticks for backpacks, and that is to get more protein to kids. And they partnered with CSU. And so the students, the ag students at CSU, the beef industry, they're all producing beef sticks for backpacks right here at CSU. So it's, I don't know, I think of school districts, schools, community, and partnerships. And so, it was just such a amazing thing to witness. The wonderful work that Kids Pack does, and just how they've grown. So it was impressive is an understatement, but it was an impressive celebration to be at, and I know most of us were there, and it was just touching. So thank you for letting me share about that.
Of course. It was a great celebration for the whole community. Huge turnout for them. Okay, the one I'm going to share about is on September 29th, we celebrated the Award of Excellent Recipients within our district, and we had 21 people that were nominated by coworkers and people that have a connection to them. One was a school bus driver, and it was a Berthoud bus driver, and they had glowing comments from more and more people about it. And what's nice about the fact that each person was celebrated, but part of selected letters were read aloud, and even if they weren't there, it was recorded and sent out to them so they could see and hear exactly what was shared about them as successful awards of excellence. So it was a pretty neat event to be able to go to. Stu was also there with me. Yes. All right. Next item that we have is our action consent item. Oh, no. No, sorry.
You're almost.
Almost. Public comment. And so Stu is going to share the protocol for public comment.
All right. Because the board wants to hear the viewpoints of the public and also needs to conduct its business in an orderly and efficient manner, it will schedule time during its regular board meetings for brief comments and questions from the public. The board will set a time for public participation prior to the business portion of the meeting. The time for each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and each individual will only be recognized once. If there's a large number of speakers, the board may elect to take comments for 1 hour before the business meeting and conclude public comment after the business meeting. Public comments and questions at a regular meeting may deal with any topic related to the board's conduct of the schools. Speakers may offer such criticism of school operations and programs as concern them, but are encouraged to exercise their speech rights responsibly. Personnel matters will be discussed in executive session.
Thank you, Stu. Dawn?
I have the timer tonight, and since we're here in Berthoud, I don't have my normal setup. So you have 3 minutes. I'll give you a little hand signal when you've got 30 seconds left, just so that you have an idea, and then I will let you know when you reach that 3 minute if you're not wrapped up. First up, we have Jeannie Poirier. Am I saying your last name correctly? Yes, please come up.
It's Poyer.
Poyer. I just got wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity, and I think this is going to be really quick because of what Stu just talked about, the meeting that you're going to have tomorrow and that you had with the seniors. So a little bit about me and my husband Tom. I'm a 30-year resident of Berthoud, raised 2 girls, went through Berthoud schools, Ivy, Turner, and this school. This has actually been very interesting. I've never sat in on a school board meeting, and I'm sorry I haven't. But my reason for being here tonight was I put a post on social media, Berthoud community, about a new development that we got a notice on and the growth, and we've seen a lot of growth. And true, what Stu said, I have no more school-age kids. I don't even have grandkids yet. And I'm concerned about the schools and the number of schools and the kids in the classroom and the quality of education. So would you agree with me, Stu, that my questions are probably better directed at the meeting that you're going to have tomorrow?
Jean, why don't you just do maybe an overview of the types of questions you're going to ask? You don't actually have time to ask all the questions here. You'll have more time tomorrow. But I think the folks who are here and the folks who are listening, I don't know, is anybody listening? Are we doing any kind of recording? I know we're not filming. Yes, okay. They would probably be interested in the nature of your questions.
So my question would be, and this is high level, where do we start as concerned citizens with the growth? Of course, that's probably directed at the town of Berthoud. in relation to the number of schools so when we moved here in 1992, same amount of schools in Berthoud that we have now. And in my Facebook post, there's over 200 comments. Actually, it was amazing, the constructive comments that came. I mean, that's why I'm here. Somebody said you should attend the school board meeting. Somebody pointed me to Stu. I exchanged one email with Stu. So my question would be, as a concerned citizen, where do we start with our concerns and the ability to ask questions? So, I mean, that would be my question that I would ask you. You know, I mean, is it appropriate to approach this board, or, you know, the city of Berthoud, you know, the planning department? I mean, that would be my question. I'm concerned. Okay? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Thomas Poirier. Did I get it any better the second time? I feel like that came out just as awkwardly.
Oh, he's just with you?
Oh, you're just here for support? Good job, thank you. All right, well then next up is Sam Crescent.
Hi, I'm Sam Crescent, Family Consumer Sciences teacher at Loveland High, and I would like to briefly speak on the family program and our district's current lack of parental and family leave. I recognize that the family program is not perfect. Most Colorado school districts are not opting in, and individuals can still opt in if they choose. I am here because when the family program was introduced at the last board meeting, it was not mentioned that our district does not currently have paid maternity, paternity, or parental leave benefits for its employees. I would like to stress the importance of our district offering an adequate family leave program for all employees in place of the family program if we are planning to opt out. Currently in our district, moms can only access up to 6 weeks from the sick leave bank to recover from childbirth, but this is not maternity leave. Very few resources or directions are given to the mom, and they are left to find their own long-term sub, create lesson plans for each day they are out. Any additional time out to care for their new child is unpaid. My son was born in July of 2021, and I cannot imagine returning to work only 6 weeks after giving birth. I took an almost $10,000 loss of pay in order to care for my son during the first 12 weeks of his life, returning at the 12-week mark. This is not an option for so many parents, and it's not lost on me that I was pretty fortunate to be able to take that extra time and that loss of pay. Since all PTO must be used before you access the sick leave bank, when I did return to work in October, I was left with 0 hours of PTO for the entire school year in the first year of my child's life, which you guys probably know are lots of doctor's appointments, sicknesses for you and baby. So each time I missed, it led to an additional loss of pay. This leaves a really big financial and mental burden on new parents. While new moms can access the sick leave bank for 6 weeks of paid recovery, I was shocked to find out that fathers get 0 time if you adopt or foster. You also get 0 paid time off. Family leave should really be focused on caring for the child and be equitable for all employees. So why should we work to create a family leave benefit for all of our employees? The benefits are endless. Paid family leave increases the child's long-term development and educational outcomes. Increases the chances of parents returning to their jobs. Businesses report higher levels of employee satisfaction and retention. Fathers who take 2 or more weeks off after the birth of a child are more involved in their child's care than fathers who get no leave. Mothers who have access to 12 weeks or more of paid leave are less likely to suffer from postpartum depression and long-term mental health issues. I hope to see this become an issue I hope to see this issue become a priority for our district. I'll stop there. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thanks for helping me test what it does at the end of 3 minutes. It's on silent, so I didn't think I was going to do that. Next up, we have Heather Van Bentham.
Good evening, Heather Van Bentham, Berthoud. I started the Healthy Kids Colorado survey discussion as a case study because it's an illustration of what's been going on around here. This passive consent thing, meaning you're assumed to have said yes, your kid can do the survey if you don't say no and actively opt them out, is a mismatch with what you teach in sex ed, where you rightly teach that you need a clear and active yes in order to proceed. We try to keep kids safe from strangers. If a stranger walked up to your children anywhere else and started asking them questions, you would immediately intervene and ask, how dare they? But this survey is strangers asking very personal questions to your children. Within the school, they are a vulnerable, captive audience in what should be a safe setting. Some of these questions are highly problematic for the district to ask its employees. Do we want to normalize outside groups doing this? You have introduced a level of tension between yourselves and parents. We expect kids to do the work their teachers assign. We know this survey isn't an assignment, but it's given in the classroom during school hours, and it sure looks like one to the kids. Their brains don't have the decades of experiences ours have. Asking our kids to discern what work they will and won't do in school is antithetical to our expectations of their behavior as students. Plus, there is soft pressure to just go along and do the survey with all the rest of your classmates. They say if you're not paying money for something, then you are the product. Whoever is behind this survey pays the school district for doing it. Your children are their commodity, and the survey is their instrument. It says so on the website. We know some of the groups involved, but who are these people? We don't know and can't ask them what they do with the data they are mining from our school kids. We don't know what groups might tap into the back end of this and get that data for their own uses. We know our tax dollars are being used in lots of ways here, all for them to mine our kids. Have you seen any results? Is there value to your family? This isn't the only survey going into schools, and it has nothing to do with education. The best way to fight this is to be boring to them. Don't give them any info. Don't be useful to them. They can't use what they don't have, and maybe they'll stop. Sorry, Dr. Schaefer, but parents, flood the schools with your opt-out letters. Send a strong no. Maybe the schools will decide this just isn't worth participating. I'll ask you, will you say no? Will you stop letting these strangers ask questions of the kids? Having had this in schools for several years now doesn't make it right. Do a search to find the official colorado.gov website for the Healthy Kids Colorado survey. They are counting on your being busy and distracted next year when they do it again. I'm highlighting this now so you have all this year to research, think on it, and if you want, get your opt-out letter ready. And vote November 8th. Thank you.
Andy Chrisman.
Two of the best band parents ever. Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the Board of Education, I'm Andy Chrisman, parent, music teacher, and president of the Thompson Education Association. I'm speaking about the district's proposal to opt out of the family leave program recently passed by the voters of the state of Colorado and to advocate for more progressive family leave policy in the Thompson School District. In 1992 and again in 2012, Stuart Friedman from the Wharton School of Business surveyed college graduates as part of his work-life integration project, using an identical survey instrument each time. In 1992, 78% of men and 79% of women said they were planning to have or adopt children. In 2012, those numbers dropped to 42 and 43% respectively. In an interview, Mr. Friedman reported one of the leading causes of the drop was a lack of support from both their employers and their public institutions. See, in 1992, most respondents anticipated having a more traditional family arrangement. One breadwinner, a stay-at-home parent, and our business and government policies reflected that assumption. But now, social attitudes and values have changed. Both men and women in the 2012 study anticipated raising children in dual-income households. But our social institutions, business practices, and government policies haven't changed since 1992. The Thompson School District is no different. We still offer only 6 to 8 paid weeks of recovery leave for birth mothers, no paid parental leave for adoptive parents or fathers. The voter-approved family program reflects this change in the realities of raising a family. It provides paid leave for all parents, including adoptive parents. It has its shortcomings as well. The rate of pay is less than ideal for many earners, for example. But there's no denying that this program exists because our society sees a need for it. The district is considering opting out of this program, and while I can understand and even somewhat support some of the reasons why, I also see an opportunity to act. I call upon the school board to use this opportunity to broaden the types of leaves we offer to be more inclusive of all parents, more reflective of societal realities, and more competitive in the labor market. All parents deserve time to be at home with a new child, whether they are birth parent, adoptive parent, mother, father. Progressive leave policies should also help us recruit and retain highly educated employees who value family. According to the Department of Labor, in a 2014 study of highly educated professional fathers in the United States, 9 out of 10 reported that it would be important when looking for a new job that the employer offered paid parental leave, and 6 out of 10 considered it very or extremely important. These numbers were even higher for millennial workers. I look forward to working with the board to make this district the destination district for families that want to live, work, grow, and thrive. Thank you. Here. Thank you.
With 2 seconds left to spare, that was well timed. And that is the last one of in-person comments.
Okay, we have 2 phone-in comments.
Hello, this is Elizabeth Newton calling again. My address is 517 East Trilby Road, Block 40 in Fort Collins, and my phone number is 970-317-7199. I am calling again to support the students, Dr. Schaefer, the school board, and all employees of TSD. I know that the district has an excellent vision and plans for all students and center all decisions around the student voice and needs. I also realize that today you will be discussing the community service hours for high school students. I am in support of this as I believe that volunteering helps students gain confidence. Volunteering can help them gain confidence by giving them the chance to try something new and build a real sense of achievement. In addition, they can make a difference in people's lives, meet new people, be part of their community, as well as many other benefits, like learning new skills and taking on challenges, and finally, having fun. It is the goal to educate students to be good citizens and be ready for the workforce, and this is one step that will certainly be of value. However, we know each family is different. I think it's important that each student has a conversation with the counselor to make a volunteering plan. They should also be the voice for the family needs. They should be responsible for each step to secure a volunteering opportunity with supports from the school and their family. We're in a very tough time in the world right now, and I know that some families are really struggling, and the children, therefore, have responsibilities to help at home, such as babysitting younger siblings, or maybe even contributing financially to the family. Therefore, I believe the plan should be flexible to consider these situations. Also, students with disabilities may need different types of support, perhaps even allowing family members to volunteer alongside their children. Finally, I know this can work, and it's going to be a great opportunity and benefits our aspiring students in TSD, as well as the Northern Colorado community. I just suggest that there is some flexibility to be built in and to be inclusive for various family and student dynamics. Thank you for the opportunity to provide my input today. Bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Erica Cathy. I'm a resident of Loveland, and I have a TSD student. And I would just like to leave a message about life and safety skills and ask the board to consider reincorporating some life and safety skills trainings into the curriculum. I had the opportunity to attend a Larimer County Preparedness Fair on October 8th, and my child was able to participate in various life safety skills trainings, like one put on by the American Red Cross called the Pillow Project, where students learn, to put all their valuables in a pillowcase to have it ready for a fire. There was also a trailer there that would be filled with fake smoke, and the students would learn how to escape a smoke-filled building. And in talking with the American Red Cross representatives, they said they used to be very active in the school districts and in Thompson School District in going to schools and doing these trainings, but that since COVID, that had stopped, understandably, but then wasn't really picked back up because of the increased need to focus on academics. So I just wanted to call on behalf of that group and see if the board would please consider reincorporating those type of fire, life safety skills trainings back into the curriculum. I think they're very important considering Larimer County is at a very high risk of wildfires and other disasters, and I think that that is equally valuable, and the best place for students to learn that is in a school. I think we can supplement it as parents, but the experts having access to them in the school setting is very valuable. So thank you for considering that, and have a wonderful day.
This concludes our public comment. And now we're going to move on to the action consent items. And these are items that we have presented to us at previous meeting or involve items that just need approval, budget changes. Board members, if you have an item you want pulled for further discussion, please let me know now. Okay, I'm going to read off, I think there's 7 of them tonight, so I'm going to read them all off, and we will vote on them as a group. But after I read them off, then we have 3 resolutions to share. Dawn will read hers, which is one of them, and then Nancy, and then Alexandra. So, item 5.1, approval of personnel extra duty coaching recommendations. 5.2, approval of expenditures over $50,000. 5.3, approval of gifts and donations. 5.4, approval of opting out of the Family and Medical Leave Insurance Program, the FAMLI or family. 5.5, approval of intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with the City of Loveland for the use of Northfield Park for Loveland High School baseball and softball. 5.6, approval of third reading exhibition JGA-E, guidelines for admission of students and acceptance of credit from home-based educational programs and other non-accredited schools. And 5.7, approval of proclamation, classified staff appreciation week. So that will be our list that we will vote on, but first let's have Dawn read the approval of the gifts and donations.
We have 2 this time. We have $5,606 for the STEM Fabrication Lab at Walt Clark Middle School from Loveland Rotary Club Foundation, and $1,500 for Special Olympics at Mountain View High School from Debbie and Kevin Hogfelt.
Thank you. And Nancy, please read the resolution regarding the intergovernmental agreement for use of Northfield Park.
Oh, you changed it. I thought this stuff, you mean the family?
Oh, nope, you're right. Yours is family. I'm on the wrong one.
Oh, yes.
Never mind. I'm sorry. I just have it at the wrong spot. So, yes, you're good. Your family one.
Resolution to opt out of the Paid Family and Medical Leave Insurance Act. Whereas the Thompson School District has reviewed the requirements of the Paid Family and Medical Leave Insurance Family Act, CRS Section 8-13.3-501, and its accompanying program. Whereas the district has the discretion to decline participation in the family program pursuant to CRS Section 8-13.3-522. Whereas the declination of participation in the family program does not prohibit the district's employees from independently enrolling in the family program and benefiting from the administration of paid leave as provided in CRS Section 8-13.3-514. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Thompson R2J School District declines to participate in the family program as created by CRS Section 8-13.3-501.
Thank you. And Alexandra, the proclamation for classified staff.
All right, this is the proclamation for Classified Staff Appreciation Week. Whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and world, and whereas classified employees are the backbone of our public education system, and whereas classified employees work directly with students, educators, parents, volunteers, business partners, and community members, and whereas classified employees support the smooth operation of offices, the safety and maintenance of buildings and property, and the safe transportation, healthy nutrition, and direct instruction of students, and whereas our community depends upon and trusts classified employees to serve students, and whereas classified employees with their diverse talents and true dedication nurture students throughout their school years, now therefore be it resolved that the Thompson School District Board of Education proclaims October 17th through 21st, 2022 to be Classified Staff Appreciation Week, and be it further resolved that the Thompson School District Board of Education strongly encourages all members of our community to join in this observance, recognizing the dedication and hard work of these individuals.
Thank you. So I'm going to take a motion to approve the consent items as presented, and then if there's any discussion, we'll have them. So is there a motion to approve the?
I'll move.
Nancy
Second.
and Dawn. Nancy made the motion and Dawn seconded for approval of consent items. Is there any discussion before we do this? No? Okay. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Pam Howard. Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumfeld.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have one discussion and action item. And this is the District Advisory and Accountability Committee membership update, and I believe Melissa will be there for us. Yeah, I know, I'm just kind of puzzled over something. So.
Well, good evening, Madam President.
Should be tried again.
Good evening, Madam President.
I can hear you, but it's not on now.
I will speak as loud as I can. It isn't going either way.
I can kind of hear it. Can you guys hear it back there? Okay, they can.
Okay, good evening, Madam President, members of the school board, and Dr. Schaefer, Melissa Schneider, Chief Academic Officer. Tonight I present to you, there we go. Now everybody can hear me. Tonight I present to you our roster of our district accountability and advisory committee membership. I'm going to go through my presentation that I have on paper here. Microphone's not misbehaving. So I want to talk briefly about the purpose of the District Accountability and Advisory Committee. It is a statutorily required committee that allows us to be in compliance with what Colorado Department of Education expects of all school districts in Colorado. This committee is responsible for a variety of roles and responsibilities, but to highlight a few that I know that ours really do commit to is a review of our district unified improvement plan, district priorities, family engagement, use of assessments, review of charter applications, and providing recommendations to the school board annually. I did link in a list of comprehensive roles and responsibilities of which we engage in that is linked to the CDE website. There's just too many to mention for this presentation. Additionally, there are requirements around the membership of your District Accountability and Advisory Committee. At least 3 parents of students enrolled in the district, at least 1 teacher employed by the district, at least 1 school administrator employed by the district, and at least 1 person involved in business in the community within the district boundaries. The roster that I submitted to you of note tonight meets or exceeds all of these requirements.
And so this is a discussion action item, and we're requesting that you approve the individuals that are submitted on the roster for our DAC for this year, and some of them you'll notice are a 2-year term. So we have for this is being submitted for the 22 to 24 time period. Does the board have any questions?
So I'm wondering what are the current practices for trying to get representation across the district in multiple schools? I know that that's an ongoing thing, so I'm just wondering what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Actually, I'm quite proud of the accessibility of DAC and the continued push to make it more accessible to more parents in the district. We have what we call a DAC SAC meeting a couple of times a year. Last time was an example of that. The boardroom was full. We had great attendance, and we had a full screen of people attending virtually. It was great. And what that does is that we really push the recruitment out to the schools and have some of the chairs from the SACs come. And so we have definitely a membership drive year-round, but we invite and push hard. We allow a virtual hybrid meeting, if you will, and we're also working on translation as well so that we really can provide accessibility to all who want to join us.
And is it still the case that you can come and participate as you're available without becoming a member?
That's correct. You don't, to be a voting member, there's a little bit more of a commitment, but it's a public meeting, so you are welcome to attend.
I have a question and then a request, Melissa. According to your presentation, there must be at least 6 members of the committee. How many members are actually on the committee?
Well, I'm actually looking at the roster right now, and I would just have to count them up, but.
I don't have the roster.
I have 24.
All right. Yeah, I don't have it.
Yeah, you do.
And then my request is, could you briefly summarize for the board and for people who are here what the process is that's used in selecting people for?
So there's no selection process. It's an application. You can become a voting member of DAC if you meet one of these membership descriptions. So if you can identify as a parent of students, a community member. You don't have to have kids in the school district to be a member of DAC. If you are a member or a parent at a school, if you are an employee at one of the schools, like we have multiple people who wear more than one hat. So they're an employee and a parent, or triple hats. They're an employee and a parent and a member of the association. So really there's if you would like to make a commitment and be a voting member, then you certainly just submit an application saying that's what you'd like to do.
Nancy, did you have
The only thing I would add is, like right now, I think we only have 3 community members. So I think in our push to try to get more people that, don't have kids, if we could increase that. But I think overall, this is a really good membership roster this year. It looks like there's a lot more parents. So I think that's really good. And I think it's great that we do the hybrid with the virtual and the in-person, because it seems like it gets a lot better participation.
It does. Our participation is high, and that's exciting. And I also think in listening to the folks that spoke to the board earlier, that this is a great way to get people who may not have children in the school district to learn about what we do.
Did either of you have a question? I just would like to make a comment that I feel like we have a lot of elementary schools that don't have anybody involved in it. And I guess I'm curious, do they need to be a member of a local school advisory council? What's it called? Is it SAC? Thank you. They don't have to be a member of SAC.
You can be a member of DAC without being a member on your SAC, and most of them are, because it's a double commitment if they're memberable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for adding that little bit.
You're welcome.
So now.
So now it's a discussion action.
Yes. So I need a motion to approve the membership for the District Advisory and Accountability Committee, known as DAC.
So moved.
Dawn?
Second.
And Amy, thank you. First from Dawn and a second from Amy. Is there any further discussion? All right, Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Pam Howard. Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Moving on to, to discussion items 7.1, community service graduation requirement. So, Dr. Schneider.
So, Madam President and members of the school board, Dr. Schaefer, we have an exciting presentation tonight, and it is an overview of the TSD Community Service Graduation Requirement. Back in 2018 in the spring, we decided to make a community service, a small amount of hours, be part of one's graduation requirement here in the Thompson School District. And as you know it, when this began, it was in 2019-20, the year of the pandemic. So it's really not had a lot of time to get off and running. It's this year has been a great time to be able to take a good hard look at it again and see where we're at. So without further ado from me, I'm going to introduce you to Theo Robeson, who you heard from, I believe, in the last board meeting, our Executive Director of Secondary Education, and he's going to provide you with a lot more details on this requirement.
Greetings, Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board. As Melissa said, I'm Theo Robeson, Executive Director of Secondary Education for Thompson School District. So, our TSD community service requirement reinforces our TSD Portrait of a Graduate Citizen competency, which requires our students to contribute their talents towards solutions that benefit the broader community through service. In addition, students will be engaged in rigorous and relevant educational experiences and opportunities and connections with our Strive 2025 Inclusive and Supportive Culture Focus Area 2.1. In TSD, community service requirement was adopted in 2016 with the full revision of the Graduation Requirement Board Policy IKF. For the class of 2020-2021, greater flexibility was shown where we allowed our students to complete community service within our TSD schools. In 2020-2021, due to the pandemic, we had 724 students ask for a waiver of the community service requirement. For the class of 21-22, flexibility was still shown. However, the amount of community service waivers went from 724 to 44. TSD Community Service Requirement Board Policy IKF states, as a graduation requirement, high school students beginning with the class of 2020 needed to complete 20 hours of community service, and community service needed to be outside their home and family environment. Our TSD Community Service Guidelines highlight specifically what's acceptable and unacceptable forms of community service, the community service documentation process, and also the community service reflection form. These guidelines were provided to our high schools and placed in Infinite Campus in August of 2020 to support consistency at each high school. These guidelines are also provided to students and families on school websites, schools' newsletters, and school application packets. What is and what is not community service? Community service is unpaid work that benefits people, organizations, and the community. It could mean helping out at a nonprofit agency, volunteering for a special project in your school, or doing something positive to improve your neighborhood. Community service is not something where the student benefit financially or academically, or part of a club or extracurricular activities that students already are doing, and hours spent in the family unit. However, with the flexibility that was needed due to the pandemic, we allowed our students to complete community service within our high schools. This year, we plan to revisit that flexibility for the class of 2023-2024. Some of the community service opportunities that exist within our high schools are the JROTC program, National Honor Society, Student Council, Latinos Unified in the Community, Interact Club, Give Next, and extended learning opportunities. The school level support that we provide, we have community service advisors at each of our 5 high schools. This is a stipend position funded and split between the district and our high schools. They are responsible for communicating with families, students about the community service requirement for graduation, as well as the collection and management of community service hours and approving those hours. Our district level support is Tyler Schlegel, our TSD College and Career Coordinator. He's the primary contact for this work. He supports our community service with check-ins on an as-needed basis to clarify their needs and expectations, and this year as a whole group, there's monthly meetings. For the future of community service in TSD, we're excited that our Excello platform, which is college and career preparation software that is utilized by our students and staff, will be able to track and house our community service hours. In addition, our work-based learning team in TSD will be working to onboard different community service opportunities within this platform in our Northern Colorado region. Next, I would like to introduce Cole Hanks, a Berthoud High School 12th grader who's also a student on our master plan committee, and he also is an ITS employee. Cole will come to you to share his experience with community service.
Good evening, I'm Cole Hanks, and I did a lot of different opportunities for my community service. One of the largest ones that I did that really helped impact my community was rebuilding the River's Edge natural area that was destroyed by the 2013 flood. For this restoration project, I worked with the City of Loveland's Public Works Department in order to rebuild and restore plants that were destroyed by the underwater floods and root destruction that was caused by the flooding. To me, this is really a big giving back to help preserve that area so that many years from now, other people and members of the community can still continue to enjoy this wonderful area. If you drive along Taft and First Street, of course, when it reopens, you can see some of the work that we've done. That is, of course, if they ever finish up that bridge project. Yeah.
You can speed that along.
Yeah, hopefully not too much. But you can see the work that we've done, including multiple bushes that were planted, trees that were planted, rocks that were spread out to cover and protect those plants, all sorts of natural groundwork. And even when you walk around the area, you can see the work that we've done. That's really the biggest opportunity I've got. Do you guys have any questions?
Thanks for your service, Cole.
Thank you.
And I would ask the same question as Cole. Any questions for me?
Oh, I have. Oh, you must have already known. So this weekend, I started a discussion on my board page and just kind of asked, like, what do people think of community service? Just to hear what people thought. And it was interesting. There was a really wide, I don't know if you read the link, but there was a wide range of views. There was like love it to hate it to torn. It was all over the place. But out of it came some really good questions that I sent to you about how we can make this better. And one that came up a lot was the prorating of the community service hours for people who, there was one example someone gave where their nephews had to come here midway through because of some other unfortunate circumstances. So I think that was good that came out of it. Also, that Elizabeth who called in, she chimed in, and I thought what she had to say has value about kids who have to actually help volunteer in the home. I'm one of those kids that grew up having to, take on a lot of that responsibility. And then I think it was also interesting because it's tied to the citizenship requirement. So I just threw out there like, oh, hey, if they volunteer to like voter registration or support whatever candidate they want to walk and knock on doors, does that count? And so I thought that was neat that you came back and said yes. So as you're going through this, I was talking with Melissa, it's like, I don't know if what we're doing tonight, if you're taking all of this to come back and start crafting and updating the policy. But I thought that it was a good discussion, and it opened up some ideas, I think, especially like the prorating and what does special needs kids do, what do the English language learners do. So I appreciate you taking the time to go through this, but I thought it was a good conversation, and I look forward to some of these changes.
Yes. No, I know as I answered your questions and as we reflected back, I worked with my team in Learning Services, our college and career team. We recognize that there are some places where now that we're getting through this pandemic that we may want to change some of the language inside this. And I'll certainly work with Melissa, Dr. Steiner, I should say, on her guidance to help us move forward with this.
Great.
Theo, do parents and students receive a copy of the community service guidelines? I have a copy of the guidelines.
Yes.
Do all the parents and or students have a copy of that?
So I'm just going to say all is a tricky question. I would say we know we have it posted on the websites. We also have it coming through newsletters, and then also in the school application packets it exists. But when you say all, that's slippery, because sometimes for whatever reason, some people might not get it until they go and they work with their school counselor, they learn more about it, and then they process it there at the school level.
All right. So you offer a number of different opportunities for kids to know and their parents to know what the guidelines are.
Yes, indeed.
Am I correct that it's the responsibility of the student to locate the community service opportunity, and that the building coordinator or the service advisor's job is to collect and approve the hours, and that's actually what that person is paid to do?
So yes, that person's paid to do that, but they're also paid to help students that can't find community service find community service. One of the things that's unique about our high schools this year, especially, that every school now has an extended learning opportunity. During our first meeting with our community liaisons, we learned that one of our schools are given that ELO time as opportunity to do beautification and other things around the campus that allows them to earn their community service hours. And that sounded like something that was unique that the other high schools would possibly adopt.
All right. So knowing that it's the service advisor's responsibility to help with ideas, is somebody providing them with the various opportunities, or is the expectation that they're supposed to go out and beat the bushes and find out what the opportunities are?
So the beauty about this is that we're constantly reflecting on what we have in place and what we don't have in place. And so the thing that's exciting about Excello is now our department here in Learning Services, my career and college team, with the Excello onboarding, will be able to help put different things into the Excello system that allows our kiddos and our staff to have ready access to what opportunities exist in the Northern Colorado region. We've recently adopted Excello as a total district, and so that's really going to be super exciting. And so we're planning on the 23 school year to be able to have all that inside of that Excello platform. We thought about doing it earlier, but when we met with the community service liaisons, they felt that due to the fact that the school year has already started, they've had things in place, and they want to roll with that for this year. But next year, all this will be better existing in support of our people in the buildings in the Excello platform.
Just a comment about Excello. I'm somewhat familiar with it, and after looking at your presentation, I looked at it in a little bit more detail, and it's great for college and career readiness. I wondered for kids who are going to be involved in service opportunities like what Cole spoke to us about, which isn't necessarily college and career readiness, but actually volunteerism. If the district, if those who are working with the service advisors are providing ideas that students might entertain or access, if that's the type of community service that they're interested in doing.
Yes, indeed. So Tyler Schlegel, our college and career coordinator who oversees this work, he's over the last 2 weeks, he's had meetings with Excello specifically about helping us build out this part of the platform, more specific for community service and work-based learning experiences like that. And so we're very confident with working with the Excello team that we're going to be able to get something that's very, very well put together specific for TSD.
All right. And then my last comment is I sent you a reflection on something that I noticed when I went through the slides and also compared that with the guidelines. And I won't take the time this evening to explore that in any more detail, but I hope that you will resolve what I think is a contradiction between what the slide says and what the guidelines say. So.
No, and I certainly know what you mean, and it's about the flexibility that we've been providing through this pandemic to allow kids to access the community service experiences within their schools, and there is a conflict there. And so this year, and hopefully by December, we'll have a decision that I'll bring to Dr. Snyder to see if we can get support behind it regarding if we're still going to have that level of flexibility in the system or not. It's overwhelmingly, it seems like that level of flexibility should stay in the system is what we're hearing.
All right. And just one closing comment. This is a really important graduation requirement. And listening to Cole talk about what he's doing and being able to determine just how sincere he is with this, this is preparing kids for the future and preparing our kids to give back. And that's so important. So good job on that.
Great job, Cole. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So my thoughts are similar to what we've already heard, which is at the programmatic level, since that's where you're looking at it. I've got some feedback. I'd love for us to look at it with an equity lens. So I'm advocating for us to keep things at the school. And Thompson Valley right now is posting help at an elementary school who asked for it, which is a great example. I love that so much. And I'd love to see us do that more because I know that I've been on elementary PTAs and SACs and we could always use some help. So that's a great way that and kids love to go back to their old elementary and middle school. So adding those kind of things in, I think using the Zello system is a great way to do that so that we're not having 5 schools do this 5 different ways and every opportunity can just get stronger as we know more. Having done this now 3 times, I've got a front row to how it can work. And I would say that my biggest concern about the right now, separate from the pandemic, is that most nonprofits have an age limit. And so our students can't participate without an adult going with them. And that doubles then the impact to the kids who struggle the most to do it. Not only that, but we have all these kids trying to get into the Humane Society, and that's not an option. You gotta be 18 or 21, right? So you've got a lot of people having the same conversation. I would love for us to programmatically think about how we could do that better, right? Do a whole day where we help the Humane Society, because I bet there's a bunch of high schoolers who would get right on that, right? There's some really cool things that we could do with that. And I know our kids love it. So I love the fact that they were doing the ELO. I love the fact that you continue to bring your teams together to talk so that we don't do all of these things 5 different ways, because that has created equity issues as well. Because you talk to one person and they say, yeah, sure. And you've got somebody else who says, no, you can't do that. And that's happened with this process specifically at some of our schools. And that's just silly and a waste of resources. And I would just love to see our adults, we've got this team, let's use them wisely to remove some of these barriers so that the kids can really focus on getting out there and doing the work and learning what they're supposed to be learning versus red tape. So thank you, and advocating highly for us to keep connections to our community, because our schools are an important part of our community.
Yes, indeed.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Theo.
All right, thank you very much. Have a
We've
good
got
night.
Lots of things to think about. All right, 7.2, Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, affectionately known as CBOC. That's an update. Todd?
Yes, good evening, Madam President, Board of Education, Dr. Schaefer, Todd Piccone, Chief Operation Officer. Before I turn it over to our 2 amazing speakers tonight, Mr. Cecil and Bill Brunig, I do want to take the opportunity to thank our committee. So as you know, we meet about every other month. Cecil will go a little bit through that, but the time that they spent and the time that they spend and just the detail that they go through our bond to provide that oversight is thankless, because they do a lot of work for the community and that oversight to make sure that what we promised in 2018 is what we're delivering. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Cecil and to Bill.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Schaefer. I'm Cecil Gutierrez, longtime member of the community of Loveland, and I'd like to introduce this evening Bill Brunig, who's a longtime member of Berthoud, and not as long as me. Normally, Dan Tron, our vice chair, would be here to do the presentation, but his work took him out of town this week, and so Bill graciously agreed to be part of the presentation. As always, I like to give a quick overview of the committee and who we are, and just give that overview, not so much for all of you, but for the community members that might be here or listening. The CBOC committee was set up as part of the bond issue to provide independent review, and it was intended to provide high level of accountability to the community and provide communication on behalf of the board. By the way, independent communication on behalf of the board to citizens. We meet bi-monthly. Our meetings are open to the public. Special meetings may be called. Chair and vice chair are elected annually. The chair and the vice chair develop the agendas with staff. The chair and the vice chair facilitate the meetings. Thompson School District staff provide data. A quorum is 50% of our membership. Votes on action items require a simple majority of the members present. And we report regularly to the school board. We have 16 members of our committee, and they represent a wide variety of parents. We have financial experts, we have construction experts, and citizens at large, and representatives from the different areas of the school district. As a committee, we regularly receive updates on all of the large projects. We take a look at the scope. We review the budgets and the design status of each of the sites. And then we review each site by the amount of cash flow and how much of the money has been encumbered by each particular site. We review the process regularly on all of the large projects and include budget risk assessments and analysis. We have been receiving regular updates on how COVID-19 has impacted both projects and their timelines, as well as the impacts they've had on school operations district-wide. We review the schedules to completion, and staff provides detailed information as we request each meeting. At each of the meetings, every member has the opportunity to request information to be presented at the next meeting. We also give the members an opportunity to send an email to either me or the staff prior to our agenda review meetings so that we can put them on the next meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask Bill to do the next portion of the presentation.
One question. Does everybody have copies of the slides they're flipping through? Okay. Yes. I wasn't sure because Mark's memorized it already, and I was very impressed. Under the slide entitled Cash Flow, each meeting that we have, as Cecil mentioned, we start with reviewing the expenditures versus the plan. All the expenditures have been planned out over the time period of the bond. And so we're constantly monitoring where we are versus plan, which I think is an important point. And one of the aspects of the tax-free status of the bonds that we sold was that we had to expend 85% of it within the first 3 years of the bond. Everybody's nodding, so everybody knows all this stuff. The data that you see I won't read these numbers, shows the spending in 2022, particularly the bottom few lines, and what's been spent or encumbered in that time frame. We have met the requirement of spending the $150 million, which was a target of 85% in 3 years is required, and I compliment the whole team. Tammy is and the whole team on managing through COVID and material shortages with no major impacts. Cecil will review what we still have in contingency a little bit later. The bond issue had 1,059 line items, and we request that the team do a very detailed update twice a year on where we are on all those items, and I'll go through some summaries in a minute. All the items were put into different categories. Category 1 contained the most items, and these were health, safety, security, as well as interesting things like roof replacement, boiler replacement, transformer replacement. These are all critical to the operations of the school and what we referred to as backlog of maintenance issues. The priority 2 items were less critical equipment and include other things like lighting, carpeting, and things like that. And priority 3 were mainly aesthetic. The next slide shows the pie chart on your left shows the total bond items of 1,059. How many are completed? That's 961, which is 91%. There's still some underway, 9% or 93, and there's just a few that are still remaining. On the right, it shows where these items are by priority. The priority 1 is at the bottom, 2, 3, and then what we deem as the bond premium, which was what we got in excess of the original $149 million. If we look at where we were in May, we had completed 825 items, or about 78%. That's the slide 9. And then a review of September 2022 shows the 91% or 961. So, I mean, this obviously shows that we're getting, not we, Todd and Tammy and the group are getting the job done. And like I can't emphasize how hard it is to get things this complex in on time, on budget, but they've been doing it. And Cecil will review some of the contingency issues that are still remaining.
We have, when we reviewed this initially, the pie chart looked a little bit different, and there were some differences. That there were almost 30 projects that had not been that were still outstanding. But when we took a look at that, the vast majority of those were actually Mary Blair projects. And so we asked staff to come back and review those and bring back, because it didn't really make sense for those projects to sit out there as outstanding because they're being rolled into the Conball project. So when we asked staff to go back and review that then brought that down to where we only have 5 of those line items that are really still outstanding. And they're all priority 1 projects that deal with health and safety. Each of them, I will list them for you. Community Connections needs radon testing. Cottonwood Plains, the same thing, radon testing. Coyote Ridge, radon testing. Ponderosa, radon testing, and Conrad Ball, radon testing. So I think that really speaks to the progress, especially on the priority 1 projects that has been made by the district. One of the things that we have always focused on as a committee has been the risk analysis especially on the big projects, the risk analysis to our budgets as they were being brought to fruition. And the total funding was over $207 million, and 193, almost 194 million has been encumbered, which we have about $13.8 million worth of projects that still remain. There is a contingency of almost 4.5 million in the contingency, and in the inflation budget item, there's just a little over $1 million, so that we have about $5.5 million left that we should this Conrad Ball project or any of the future projects that are still remaining that can be used and utilized, which is really 40%. And the committee had been really focusing on that 10 to 15% ratio. So to have 40% remaining is outstanding. And so that last remaining project, the big scale project, is the Conrad Ball Middle School and a few of the scheduled projects. Our next steps as a committee is we will continue to monitor the 2022 items that are still underway, and then we will add those 2023 projects that will be added to that. There are 93 projects that are underway and will continue into 2023. We will continue to evaluate the use of the funds based on the language of the bond. And we will continue to review these contingency funds as we go along, including project savings. As projects close, there will be some savings on some of the projects. Again, kudos to your staff for the great job that they've done. We continue to encourage staff to explore potential projects as we're nearing the end, and where some of that contingency money and inflation money and the savings may be used. And we will provide recommendations to the Board of Education as we do those reviews. I too want to give kudos to staff based on all of the work that they have done. We take a vote at the end of every one of our meeting that asks every one of our members if they have had all of the information that they have needed and all the information that they have requested, if it has been full and complete. Every single one of our meetings we do that. And at every one of our meetings, that vote has been a unanimous vote in the affirmative. So again, we thank our staff for being sure to bring us all the information that we require. We want to thank the Board of Education for all the time that you put in. I know that you put in tons of hours. We want to thank the community and the voters for their support of this bond issue. And we especially want to thank the teachers and the staff for their dedication to our students. And with that, we are open to questions.
You know, I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you, very much for your professionalism, your dedication. This is amazing. So just thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it a lot.
I just have one. When you brought up the radon testing, with all of the money that you have budgeted, will the radon testing be covered? And also, what if radon is found and you have to put in the mitigation system?
I can give you my answer, but I think we've got the expert here, and I'd rather the expert give you that answer than me give you my off-the-cuff answer. Go ahead.
It could be interesting, though. So we do have the radon budget within the projects already, so it's within the numbers you see. If there is an elevated measurement, it does not come out of the bond dollars.
Oh.
We have an environmental budget that we use. There was a school that came up higher, so the mitigation that we performed there was taken out of more of a general fund facilities bucket than it was the bond budget.
Okay, thank you.
I did want to mention one other thing as part of my report, and that is that we did have a special meeting. We did not get a quorum, but we still listened to the presentation from staff. It was not required that we have to take a vote on it, because it did not meet the threshold that it needed to come to us, and that was an environmental issue that at Conrad Ball Middle School, and the staff wanting to move some of that environmental money over to the Conrad Ball Middle School budget. And even though it did not meet the threshold that it had to come to us, I want to commend staff for their real desire for that transparency and bringing that issue to us. And we were short one member of having a quorum, and so we couldn't really take a vote like we normally take that this met the requirements of the bond, but the consensus of the group that evening was that it did. And my personal observation is that had they not taken that money out of there and decided not to do that remediation, it would have been worse politically and looking at the way it would look to the community, saying you have some money to fix that problem, fix it. And so I think that would have been what the community would have wanted as well. So I want to commend staff again for bringing that to us to be as transparent as possible.
Thank you to both of you.
You're welcome. One other thing, Stu, I'm going to go off topic here. I've been known to do that. When you have your meeting tomorrow with the couple that was interested, have them join the MPC. Then they can know what's going on, because I'm involved with that, behind the scenes on all the things they're worried about. And they'd really learn a lot.
I will make that offer, Bill.
Great, make it happen.
All right.
And finally, I want to thank Dr. Lessem, who has been joining us for our meetings this last year. It's been great having you as part of our group. Enjoyed having you there. Thank you.
I enjoy being there. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Is that it? Okay. Thank you.
All right. 7.3, update on the new scoreboard at the Max Mar Stadium.
Yes. Yes, for a moment. Yeah.
Or Kevin, probably.
Yeah, thank you again, Madam President of Board of Education, Dr. Schaefer. I am going to introduce Kevin Clark, our Director of Athletics and Activities, to talk to you about an exciting project we have coming to Berthoud, and really to outline the partnerships that have been created in the community. So here is Kevin.
Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board, thank you for having me tonight, and excited to be in Berthoud to talk about the special project that is coming to the Berthoud High School and to the Berthoud community. Presentation tonight will be short, but it will align to just transparency of resources, kind of our purposeful partnerships we have with our community. In June of 2022, at our spring sports recap, I had introduced a project we are going after similar to Ray Patterson Stadium. We have that video scoreboard, and that is possible because of community partnerships. And at that time, we were close to securing the partnerships that we're looking forward to. And this time, happy to present that we do have 4 community partners who will be partnering with us to make this project happen. Adams Bank and Trust of Berthoud, Loveland Ford, which is owned by Jay Weeble, a Berthoud High School graduate. Napa Auto Parts, he has 3 stores, one in Berthoud, and he is a Thompson School District graduate. And Orthopedic and Spine Center of the Rockies are going to be the 4 partners that partner with us over an extended period of time. If you've been to events at Ray Patterson, they get 30-second commercials, some advertising. We do other things to spotlight their partnership throughout the district when we can. This scoreboard will be very similar to the one at Ray Patterson Stadium. It will be 12.5 feet by 27, just over 27 feet in width, and then we'll have a 4 foot in height, 27-foot long fixed scoreboard that is on that as well. So just love that our students can get involved. They can use curriculum. They can make videos. We can have movie nights. There's just so many things we can do at the stadium. And I know Stu knows this, but the transformation that has happened at Maxmar over the last 3 years with the track, the turf field, the lights, this, in my opinion, is the premier 3A, 2A football, but 3A, 4A complex, and again, because of the bond dollars and our community partners. So at this time, I'd open it up to any questions. All right, well, thank you very much, and then again, oh,
My mouth is full.
yeah.
Questions down here at all?
Not really a question. This is awesome, Kevin. I've been around the Berthoud community for a long time. I remember when we used to have to have our football games during the day because there weren't lights on the field, and there were lots of problems with the field itself. And here we are looking at an ultra-professional scoreboard. And I guess if I do have a question, it would be at some point, would it be possible for you to invite the donors to a school board meeting so that we can thank them in person?
Absolutely. I think especially when the project, Ray Patterson, when the project was completed, we invited our 4 sponsors there. Sorry, at that time, for Ray Patterson, it's 3 sponsors. We invited them and kind of just did a walk of the stadium so they could see their advertisement. But we'd love to have them here so you guys could recognize them. And again, I should probably thank Christina Torres, one of the boosters at Berthoud High School. I know very active in the community, and she was able to help kind of broker some of those meetings for me to get in front of some of those business leaders.
Yeah. That's awesome too. Thanks, Kevin.
You bet.
All righty. I just have a question. When is this expected to be in place?
So I know there's some contract, that purchasing end of it, which seems to take a bit longer, but I think the hope would be that we have it in place for the spring. As we have our girls soccer season would be a great way to roll it out. And then with graduation, again, just a nice touch to an already great ceremony they have. Thank you.
Okay. 7.4, student achievement update. Melissa? Dr. Schneider.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, and Dr. Schaefer. Tonight I have for you a student achievement update, and we are going to encompass kind of a story behind our district performance framework that was built on our CMAS and PSAT scores from last year, and move into our current and most up-to-date data that we have that's progress monitoring our students. So I'm going to just go ahead and read off of my slides here. As you know, in Strive 2025's foremost focused area, or not foremost, but first one, is a student achievement area. And so this presentation will provide an overview of our district performance framework, a very brief overview of kind of the front page of it, a brief summary about our 21-22 state assessment data, most of which I have individually met with you all and taken a very deep dive with in the last month or two, and how that was associated with our district performance framework, and then an update to you all on our beginning of the year 1st through 8th grade iReady data in both reading and math. So what I included here is just a snapshot of the front page of our district performance framework, which gives us an overall rating of performance status, and that's why you see that green bar across the top. Many districts suffered from low participation on standardized assessments due to the pandemic, and that's an area that we continue to work on. So I don't really want to draw much attention to that, but what I do want to say is that we are in that performance, that green performance band, which is a very good thing, and we would like to stay there and continue to move upward. The next performance band is one that is very rarely given out to districts, and it's accredited with distinction, and that is very few districts get that in the state of Colorado. But we would like to be able to see our score on this go up. And something. Oh, we've got a conference notification. What's that beeping at me?
their pre-announcement over.
All right. As you can see on this just overall report, you can see that our academic growth and achievement, workforce readiness are all approaching. That means that they're approaching the meets level where we actually meet the standard. And that's part of the reason why we are accredited at that performance level, is that we have enough data that's indicating that we're moving in that right direction. We want to keep moving in that direction. So what I'd like to then do is move on to just a few of the highlights from our discussions that we've had about our CMAS data previously this fall. And as you might recall, that 2022 overall results increased for 2 of our math tests and 1 of 3 of our English language arts tests given in 2021. Aside from that, remember that 2021 we only had half of the assessments that are normally given, and this past spring all of them were given again. In 2022, results in grade 6 exceeded the pre-pandemic results of 2019. And you have a few data points there. And then furthest behind the pre-pandemic 2019 results were seen in language arts in grade 7 and grade 4. As well as math grade 3, math grade 4, and grade 7 math. And then moving on to another state data collection that is nationally normed is the PSAT SAT. Some celebrations here is that the PSAT grade 10 results in 2022 were higher than pre-pandemic in the district and across the state in both language arts and math. The PSAT grade 9 results in 2022 were below the pre-pandemic results in both language arts and math. And then district to state comparisons, we outperformed the state in the language arts test, and the state outperformed the districts in the math tests. So I want to just kind of remind everybody as I take a kind of a midway pause in this presentation that this next part is about our iReady assessment data. And our iReady assessment data is not something that you have seen yet because it has been just kind of rolling in. So this is kind of exciting to take a look at here now because it's our freshest data. iReady is administered online at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year for our students in 1st through 8th grades. It's a state-approved assessment, and it's part of our READ Act compliance, but it's really a wonderful tool that we can get up-to-date information on our kids about. Also, I'd like to add in that it is given across the state, so we have a wonderful norming system to be able to compare how our kids are doing with many other kids in the state of Colorado who are using it. It is just part of one body of evidence that teachers use to be able to determine the best course of instruction for a kiddo. And adding on to that, our PLCs are very data-driven by iReady data. You can see bands of students and skill sets in which they need to work, and teachers are able to really drill down and use those data to differentiate their instruction for kids. So the next slide is about understanding how iReady scores and what the colors mean. It's pretty easy to read on the graphs. But what I want to call out here is obviously the darkest green is mid or above grade level. The light green is right where grade level is. And then yellow is 1 grade level below. And so what's an interesting thing about beginning of the year data is that you expect kids to come into the next grade level with yellow because you get a first grader who just got out of first grade is now taking a test designed for end of the year 2nd grade. And so what we expect to see throughout the year is that yellow band shrinking as more kids demonstrate their proficiency at that new grade level. So that's just kind of a key there on that slide for interpreting these different color bands. So I have 2 slides for reading and 2 slides for math. This first one on reading is the last 3 years of our own Thompson School District reading results district-wide. So these are not disaggregated by grades. This is everybody. So I wanted to give you a high-level view. As you can see, if you want to do some quick math, we actually have we've not lost anything between last year and this year. We're staying pretty steady. So take a look again, reminder that you want to look at the yellow and the greens because that's exactly where we would expect kids to be right now. And again, you'll see data in middle of the year and end of the year, and we can compare these, hopefully see our kids growing into the grade level that they're being tested at. So that is fall to fall, last 3 years. And then if you go to the next slide, you might wonder, well, how do we compare to the state? How do we compare to the national norm? And so you have those data right there. We're about neck and neck with our state. And so you can see that we are pretty typical. These kids across the nation are coming in and accessing a new grade level and not quite there yet, which makes sense. And now moving on to math, you have the same 2 slides for math. The first one looking at the last 3 years worth of data for fall, for beginning of the year in Thompson School District. And you can see that pre-pandemic, we did have several more students that were accessing the test more closely to grade level. So we are recovering from that. We're holding steady, and I'll speak at the end of my presentation here about how we do see kind of a trend where statewide as well, that math is kind of coming in lower than language arts. The next slide then shows as well how we're comparing to the state as well as to national averages in math. Nationally, we are outperforming what we see nationally year to date. And in the state of Colorado, again, we're about neck and neck with the state of Colorado. So at the last board meeting, you heard a review of our district unified improvement plan. So while I won't go into great detail about that, I wanted to kind of connect all the dots here. These data went into identifying areas that we need to improve on and that we need to continue to work on in our district unified improvement plan. And so I just want to highlight those areas again as you've seen the data. We're continuing to make sure that our professional learning communities are effective, are supplied with the best data that can help make the best decisions for kids. Literacy instruction is still being improved upon with the science of reading approach. We have had some wonderful staff development in implementation teams, which are designed to be able to improve behavior, attendance, or family engagement. It's a school choice, a 3-year cycle around where they want to focus first. And we have school-based teams who are carrying out that work. We are looking at an update to our elementary math curriculum, which I really look forward to hearing how that rolls out this winter. Our teachers are in the middle of a pilot with 2 different math curricula and writing in various different survey forms around how they like one or the other. And our curriculum team is collecting and analyzing the teacher feedback around those. We continue to have professional development around student engagement. And as a side, I will say, as a former really passionate elementary math teacher, I actually had the same opportunity to get the same professional development many years ago that our teachers are getting in student engagement, and it transformed the way I taught math, and it transformed the scores that we saw in our district. And so I'm really hoping to see that the more kids talk about math, the more that kids are processing what they're thinking out loud with other people, allows them to achieve a standard our state and state standards have around, can you communicate your thinking in math, not only supply us with the answer. And so that's why student engagement is so important in math and especially science as well. And then just continued monitoring of student progress through these interim assessments. While this is 1st through 8th grade, we have many different departmental and curriculum assessments that are occurring at other higher grade levels that teachers come together to compare and be able to monitor how their kids are doing. So does the board have any questions about this student achievement presentation?
Is that professional development the Kagan strategies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you help me remember what we're doing for that? Because I realized it was multi-year. So
Yes.
we're doing different groups and different
It's
years.
secondary grade levels, and this is our second year and final, is a 5-day total training. And so we have, if Theo was here, I would look right back and ask him, but I think we have the 5th day left to do, and that would be in February. So That is a deep dive into cooperative learning techniques, student grouping techniques, student engagement techniques, and teacher facilitating of knowledge, not just empty vessel, I'm going to dump into your head. And to see it in action, actually standing here in Berthoud High School, I saw one of our newer science teachers using the strategies. It was as if you didn't even know she was in the room. The kids were so engaged on the experiment that they were doing, and the facilitation of learning was amazing. It was great, and it was right here in this building, so it's exciting.
I'm wondering about elementary, because we haven't rolled it out to elementary, is that correct?
We have in a smaller way, because most of the classroom teachers have been doing the science of reading. All of our elementary specials teachers have engaged in Kagan, and so that has been our way to be able to anchor a piece of this there, so that we can talk more about how this could be utilized, because what really is exciting is when kids go to grade level and engagement strategies are system-wide, there's no new learning about how we do school, and so that's exciting. So thanks for asking that.
No, just a comment, Melissa. Thank you for providing us with graphs and charts that are very easy to read and very easy to understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know you and I have been going back and forth on the data, so I downloaded the disaggregated data, and I was trying to go through because I wanted to see how all the different groups were performing, and we discovered that the state data, their spreadsheets, they have a quirk. All their numbers they're not adding up. But aside from that, one thing that I thought was really good news, and it might even be better news if we could figure out CD's numbers, is that on the Hispanic group. So in 2017, and this is for English, 21% were proficient, and this was just within their own group. But when you look at 2022, or this latest one, it's 29% within when you're looking at their own group. So that's really, I think, a real cause for celebration. And when you look at the growth just overall as a percentage of all students, there's still a 2% growth, just looking at them as part of the overall population. But when you're just comparing them to their own group, it's pretty significant. And so whatever we're doing, let's do a lot more of it, because it's apparently really working. It's great.
That is very reflective of what we saw in our district performance framework. Like I was talking about earlier tonight, it's very rare to achieve a blue after the green in any area. We have a blue spot on our district performance framework, and it is for English learners' growth. And so as a huge celebration, we have a fantastic English language development team, and some awesome strategies that some of our schools with high numbers of English learners are using to be able to teach and have access to language. So it's paying off.
Well, you should toot your own horn more in these little presentations, because it's a great accomplishment.
It's exciting. Thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So 8.1 is a written report, a monthly financial report. 9 is for future agenda items or requests for information. Is there anything you want me to put down? Just a reminder, tomorrow night we have study session with City Council of Loveland. Dr. Schaefer.
Yeah, I just want to make note of one other thing, and I know the board did approve a proclamation tonight with Classified Staff Appreciation Week, so I really just want to underscore, we have over 900 classified employees here in the Thompson School District, and in so many ways, these employees are really the backbone of our organization, from our transportation workers, food service providers, grounds maintenance, school staff and personnel, those that work in the district office, in the technology department. They are behind the scenes in many cases, but they're very much in front of the scenes. It's the things that we we sometimes and often take for granted, but there are real people behind these real jobs. And again, this is a week that we celebrate and honor them as a school district. There's a lot of, lunches and ceremonies and things that we're trying to do to elevate them, but I just want to officially call that out because they're awesome.
Thank you for doing that. Well, we couldn't do school without them.
Right.
So it's real important. They run a huge part of what we do. So thank you. All right. Meeting is adjourned.